I do have some $5 gift cards to Active Generations, and so but I will find another way to ask some questions along the way. How about that? And give away some of those cards, and I might just have to mail some of those cards to some of you guys, and that's great too. So first of all, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Kevin Gullickson. Here's a little slide about me. And these are some of the hats that I wear. One is that I'm actually a pastor here in Sioux Falls. That's my part-time unpaid passion project. I just love to see people grow spiritually in their lives. And so that's something that I felt called to do. The other thing, these are my kids. You can see we're in Canyonlands National Park there. I'm also an assistant scoutmaster at Troop 48 here in Sioux Falls. Our troop's been around since 1930. So proud to be part of that legacy and that tradition of helping young people to grow and helping to see them become great adults who volunteer and serve and have all the qualities that we hope for from Scouts. And then the middle picture, this is my wife and I, and we are also the owners of Amada Senior Care. And this is also one of my, you can see I have many passions, and I love people from every season and every walk of life. Compassionate care is really on my heart, and is a big part of my journey. So yeah, my wife and I have jumped into this together, and we're glad to be able to serve you today. So just, I guess, just a little bit of my story, real quickly. When I was 18 years old, that was probably the hardest year of my life, because right around that time, I lost 3 people that I loved dearly, 3 family members. I lost my mom to cancer. I lost my grandpa, her dad, and I also lost my great-grandma, so my mom's grandma. So my grandma lost her husband, her daughter, and her mom, all within just a few years time. So it was a very difficult season for my family. But one of the, I guess, special things, or the things that I hold on to, is with my great-grandma. She lived to be 101. I forget if it's 101 or 102 years old. But the thing that always stood out to me, other than, the many stories that she told every time we got together with her, the thing that stood out to me was that she lived by herself until she was 99 years old. 99. Now, she was in a wheelchair. She didn't see well. She couldn't hear well. But she was able to do what we call aging in place for obviously a long period of time, probably longer than maybe many of us will be able to. But that's why that's on my heart, is because I would love to see people be able to stay in their homes throughout their lives for as long as they're able to, and to age in place. So that's kind of my passion, my heart, and kind of so you all know where I'm coming from. So here, my goal today is to help in some way ease the overwhelm that often comes, that families often experience when it comes to caregiving and the process of finding, if needed, a senior living placement. I find that when I sit down with families, there's so many questions. And unfortunately, I talk to too many people that say, Kevin, I wish that I had talked to you like years ago when I was helping mom or dad through their journey. And if we had known what you're telling us now, that process would have been so much easier. And so that is my goal, to help sort of ease the overwhelm. Now, obviously, I can't do that in one session, but hopefully I can give you the resources and tools, or be a resource for you in that journey that you're taking. So here are some of the challenges that I see. Number one is obviously just the growing need that all of us have as we are going on this journey, and as we go through life's changes. Every season of life is a new season. We haven't been there before. We don't know what to expect. And when it comes to care decisions, unfortunately, what often happens is I find that families are being reactive rather than proactive. And some of that comes because we just haven't had those conversations. We just haven't talked about, hey, what happens if something happens in life down the road that is unexpected, or requires someone we love to have a need for care. And so when we are in that place of being reactive, it becomes sort of a scramble, doesn't it? And we are, trying to figure out what are the resources that are available to us, who can I trust, who has the, not just more questions, but the answers. And so what happens in that process then is there's a huge emotional, financial, and logistical toll that it takes on us. And I'm seeing some head nods, and I know that many of us have experienced that. So just a statistic, how does this affect us personally? I'm not sure, but right now, what we're seeing is the 65 and older population is continuing to expand as a percentage of our population in the United States. And so the need is great for the best possible care and the answers to be there. And, the government tries to help us in some ways, but obviously funding is always a concern. And, there's even talk now about potentially pulling back on some of that funding. Also, as this population grows, there's not as many people in the younger population available to hire as caregivers is the concern. Also, our facilities, I can tell you this, I have been in contact with all of the communities and facilities here throughout Sioux Falls and the surrounding area. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And what I'm finding is, like, for instance, I tried to help a client. He said, my wife needs to be in a nursing home. And I challenged that, and I pushed back on that a little bit, which I'll talk about here in a bit. But I did go to bat for him, and I reached out to all my contacts throughout the area. And I can tell you that nursing homes in the Sioux Falls area are absolutely full. It is very hard to find, especially long-term care. And, I even talked to one person. She said, I'll put you on my waiting list. And then she said, but I've never gotten to my waiting list. Mm. I was like, wow, that's a big deal. So there are challenges just because of the dynamics of what's going on in our society right now. Right. So I want to talk a little bit about just sort of the continuum of care, or maybe the better way to put it would be the care options that we have, and asking or answering the question, what kind of help do I need? Because as I shared with you, this gentleman said, hey, we need a nursing home. I don't think that what he realized is that, number one, nursing home was going to be his most expensive option. So you can see kind of some of the typical costs. So I've got, I'll just kind of go through this. Independent living. So who is independent living for? That's for active seniors who want community. It's for seniors that don't necessarily have any sort of a daily care need at this point in their lives. The services usually provided by independent living are social activities, meals, maybe some light housekeeping. And that option in Sioux Falls, this is just kind of a rough estimate, but $2,000 to $4,000. These other costs, by the way, I got from Jen Worth, who does a survey of communities. And so I know these are a little bit more accurate for Sioux Falls. Assisted living. Now, assisted living is for seniors needing some help, some support with daily tasks. They might get a little bit more personal care. Meals are provided, usually laundry. Some facilities you have to pay a little extra for laundry, some of them included in the costs. Might have med reminders, and then of course there's going to be staff that are going to be available. The average cost for assisted living is about, they said $4,800 a month in Sioux Falls. And that has been, I've seen some places are as high as like 6,000 to 8,000. So yeah, so it depends on, obviously where you're looking there. For in-home care. So in-home care is for seniors and others who are wanting to stay home with support. Usually this is non-medical care, but there also is home health that can come and supplement, and often non-medical and medical can work together to supply needs at home. This is usually help with bathing, dressing, meals, light meals, dementia care, and companionship. The average in Sioux Falls is about $44 an hour. And then the nice thing about that is you have the flexibility of how many hours you might actually need that care and that support. So the cost can then range quite a bit within that. And then finally, the skilled nursing facility. This is really for more complex medical needs or rehab when you're coming out of the hospital. So you can see I kind of did the visual down here. You got your hospital, you've got your skilled nursing, maybe your rehab or moving into an assisted living facility, and then the option of being at home. As I mentioned, this is going to be your most expensive option. There is long-term care, and then there's short-term, rehab. But this is what I want to mention is that more expensive does not necessarily mean more personalized, right? And so actually the skilled nursing, which is the most expensive, you're going to get very good medical attention. At those facilities, you're probably not going to get the personalized care as often there. And then you've got independent living, which you don't require as much personalized care. You're there more for community, and so not as much there. Assisted living, definitely more personalized care and support in what we call the activities of daily living. And then in-home care, of course, is going to be your most personalized option for the times that the caregiver is there with you to support you. So the more medical the setting, the less individualized the experience is going to be, the less personalized the experience. All right. One thing I do want to point out that I think some people don't realize about what we call in-home care is that it can actually move with you. And so if you are at a skilled nursing facility or you're at an assisted living and you would like more personalized care, you can actually have an in-home care provider supply a caregiver to you for companionship or for medical, med reminders, or for taking care of the activities of daily living. So just wanted to point that out, that is an option in most of these. I'm not actually sure that the hospital, I'm not sure if they allow that or not, but in skilled nursing, assisted living, and obviously at home, in-home care, and in-home non-medical caregivers option. Okay. So this is where I really want to spend a little time. Because these are some mistakes that I see that families are making. The number one on here is waiting too long to ask for help. And perhaps that's because, in part, number one, we don't want to ask for help. We feel that sense of like, if we have to ask for help, we're maybe losing some of our independence. I think the other reason we don't ask for help is we don't know where to go for the right help and support, and who to ask the questions. And that's actually one thing I love about Active Generations is the connections that they have within our community and the support programs that they have that I know many of you are tapping into. So I hope that you'll continue to do that. But here's some signs. Actually, let me ask you this question. What are some signs that you can think of where it might be time to ask for care?
Feel free to unmute online or use the chat box. I will open that up.
You're exhausted.
Yes.
I hear that frequently.
Absolutely. You're exhausted. And especially the caregivers, right? And I saw that in one of my clients. He had been caring for his spouse for a long time. And I saw the desperation in his eyes as I talked to him about the options. And honestly, he told me, like, you're not moving fast enough. So I worked my tail off to find support and answers for him in that. But that desperation is real. And that tiredness or weariness, right? What else?
I have a couple of answers online from your first question about what's your why, if you want to hear those ones.
Let's come back to those. We'll come back to that.
Perfect.
So yeah, any times, what are the signs that it might be time for care?
You can't leave your spouse at home by himself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That was when you can't leave your spouse alone by themselves, just in case you guys didn't hear that.
Yeah. So here are a few other things. One is home safety concerns. If you're finding that someone you love is having frequent falls or bruises, leaving the stove or appliances on, maybe there's a lot of clutter or disorganization that's building up in the home. Unpaid mail or unopened mail or unpaid bills are a few things. Also, nutrition and meal issues. So if someone's losing a significant amount of weight, maybe spoiled food in the refrigerator, skipping meals or relying solely on snacks. And then there's health and medication management, right? So if somebody's coming out of skilled nursing or coming out of rehab, we want to make sure that they're continuing to take their medications and actually healing, right? If the healing is taking too long, it's probably time for some care and some support there. They might need help just with those medication reminders, for instance. Also a decline in what we call the activities of daily living. So that's bathing, dressing, toileting, light housekeeping, those kind of things. If you see a decline in those, it might be time. And then social and emotional changes. And then, of course, you mentioned caregiver burnout, which is very, very, very real. So, good. The other thing is misunderstanding what Medicaid or Medicare covers. So sometimes we might hear, hey, I thought Medicare was going to cover that. And sometimes we think that, you know, that funding is going to be like the all-encompassing option for us until we find out that it's not, right? So that's a very real thing that families face. The next one is not reviewing LTCI policies early. So LTCI is long-term care insurance. And some of us were having a conversation about that before we jumped on here. If you have long-term care insurance, I am telling you that what you've been paying into is now gold by the time that you need some care. And I'm sure it's been very frustrating to see that bill come every month or how often you pay it. But when the need arises, then what you have is absolutely incredible for long-term care, which is exactly what it's for. And now the problem that you're going to run into with long-term care insurance is the carriers are very quickly trying to, they made a mistake in their calculations early on because there was really no precedent for how much they should offer. And so they sort of based it on like life insurance and what they did know. And now they're finding that it's becoming very unaffordable for them. And so what they're trying to do is not tell you all of the benefits that you have, or maybe to offer you different options to decrease your benefits to make it more reasonable for them long-term. So don't be quick to jump on that, you know, if you have a long-term care insurance policy. Now, just like all insurance, it's like one of those things that you don't really pay attention to it until you need it. But I want to tell you, pay attention to it and know what you have. And now it's going to be a complex policy. And you might go, wow, I could really use some help with that. And that's where Amada Senior Care can really shine for you. One of the things that we offer is a complimentary long-term care insurance policy review. We will sit down with you and your loved one, your family, whoever needs to be involved. We will call the carrier with you, and we know the questions to ask your carrier that they don't want you to ask, probably.
Nice.
You know, and what you're going to find is you're going to get an agent on the phone. Sometimes they'll look at the policy and they'll be like, nobody's ever asked me that question before, you know, and they might not even have a clear answer for you. But we get all the information that we can from the agents, and then we ask them for a copy of your policy, and then we will review it. We'll go with it, go over it with you as well, just to make sure that what they told you is accurate. But I'm telling you that if you have that, you have gold. So hang on to it.
Is there any danger in contacting them where they would think that you may be using the policy, you know, relatively soon, and they hike your premiums?
Okay, so great question. Great question. So when we call them, the other thing that we do is I will tell the family, do not say a word while we're on the phone, because they're recording the calls, right? And if you're just calling to ask questions, they're not going to hike your premiums. If they hear you say somebody needs care, I don't know. I would hope that they wouldn't, but you know,
I would think that they
I'm not
would.
sure.
If they had any idea that you were actually going to be using your policy, you know, with how they've been raising premiums recently.
Sure.
I would expect that would play into it.
Well, legally, I'm sure they're not able to, but yeah, that's a great question. So, but when we do a policy review, I instruct families, I either put the phone on mute and have somebody else asking the questions on another line, or I will say, please don't say anything, even when we're on hold, because the call is recorded. So, and then, any other questions about long-term care? Okay. And then the other thing is, I said, thinking VA benefits are too complex. Okay. I have to be honest. they are a little complex. But there are people that understand the ins and outs of VA benefits. And, you know, too often what happens is a veteran. Oh, by the way, I'm curious, do we have any veterans represented here or veteran spouses? If so, just give a shout on the chat and Becca will let me know. With VA benefits, you know, if you're just going to show up at the VA and expect some quick answers, you know, you're not going to get that, right? However, we have some resources to help support you if VA benefits are needed to cover in-home care services. And some of them do cover that. And so we want to look at what you're eligible for and how to file for it. And we will walk you through that process to do that. So if that's you, let me know. And I would like to also talk to you afterwards as well, if we can support you in that. And then finally, the last one is assuming placement services cost money. Now, maybe you're like, I don't even know what placement services are. But essentially, what placement services are is if you are looking for a senior living placement, whether that be an assisted living or an independent living or some sort of skilled nursing facility, then there's so many out there, right? Like, where do you even begin to search? And there's a lot of online, you know, search engine optimization, and everybody's trying to compete. And of course, there's like online services that are trying to get you to click on their ads so that they can refer you, you know, and then the different agencies like us can pay for those leads, right? So it's like, who do you trust and how do you know? If I was going to go to a placement service, I would want somebody local that knows the team at the Inn at Westport, or knows the team at Touchmark, or has met the people down at Abera Prince of Peace or wherever, and knows how to find out what sort of availability they have in their placements, in their senior living. So that is one of the services that we provide at Amada, that is no cost to those that are looking for those services. So that's something that we absolutely want to offer, and we are local here in this community, so we know those folks, and I go and visit them pretty much weekly or bi-weekly. So
we did have one person that said, yes, spouse is a veteran.
Oh, excellent. Awesome. If you don't mind staying on afterwards, I'd love to chat with you, especially if you're in a place of receiving or needing care right now. So I'll chat with you in a little bit. So these are, you know, I really wanted to give you guys, like, what are things to be looking for and what are the mistakes that families make? But obviously I'd love to tell you about what we can provide as well. Essentially, what we want to be is a resource for caregiving in our community. So no matter what level of care that you need, we can either, I hope, provide that care for you, or if I know that we can't provide that care, then I am going to direct you to the resources in our community that I know of that will provide that care for you. So the first thing that we do is we have in-home care with trained, and I will add compassionate caregivers. And really, I'm just going to brag on us a little bit, but moving over here, I'm gonna show you two things. One is, sorry, my frame broke here, but we just received an A+ certified rating by the Home Care Standards Bureau. And they told me that we are the only one in South Dakota that has this A+ rating.
Oh, no way.
And what this is there are standards for caregiver training. caregiver background checks, and also a certain level of insurance that we have to carry as an agency to meet the standards of this bureau. He did tell me that he didn't say anything about Sioux Falls, but he did tell me that there were some agencies that he talked to in our state that said, we're not willing to do that. That's going to be too expensive. So we're very proud of this and that we've achieved that. And then the other thing is Amada as a whole has been declared a great place to work. Now, if some of you guys want a caregiving job, then come talk to me. I know that's probably not what you're here for. And you're probably like, I'm doing that right now. And how can I get paid for it? And you're probably like, why would I even show this to you? The reason why I'm showing this to you is because we take care of our caregivers. And we think that that's really, really important, because if we can take good care of our caregivers, we know that they're going to take the best care of those needing the care and the seniors in our community. So that's why this is super important to us. Amada as a whole, all the locations received a 93% rating, which is almost unheard of, way above what the home care standard is for great places to work. So
how many employees do you have?
that is a great question. So we have right now 10. Yeah. And then the next thing, I already kind of addressed it, and that is senior living placements at no cost to families. We already talked a little bit about long-term care insurance claims advocacy. So again, we're not offering long-term care insurance. That's not our job. We help with the claims. If you have long-term care insurance and you are getting in-home care, and your claim gets denied, guess what? Another company might say, oh, I'm so sorry, keep trying. You know, we're not going to do that. We're actually going to help you to file the claim. So resource for VA aid and attendance benefits. And I already talked about that too. So again, we want to be your local caregiving resource with a national backbone behind us. All right. I already shared that. So I'm going to go to those of you that had notes here and just read your notes online.
Oh, let me find it. Here they are.
All right. So one of you said, my wife has had Alzheimer's for 10 years. I'm always curious about additional perspectives on when it is time to transition to a nursing home. Absolutely, that is a great question. And then someone else as well. My wife has late to moderate Alzheimer's disease. She attends Daybreak twice a week. Just sounds like an amazing program. Looking at how to best serve as a caregiver as she continues, as her disease slowly erodes her mental and physical capacity, trying to prepare for the future. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Gary. Bless you in that. And we do have someone who says that your spouse is a veteran. That's awesome. And please thank them for their service, and curious where they served as well. So great. Does anybody have any questions as we continue here before we wrap up?
Do you have any resources that aren't specifically for the person that needs the care, but to assist? I'm thinking, my husband used to do all the gardening and can't anymore.
Interesting.
So like I'm seeing weeds popping up and, you know, some things that need to be trimmed. Are there any resources here in Sioux Falls that can help with that?
That is a great question. I'm not aware of any right off the top of my head.
Used to be
Although
Our program workers on wheels.
I was gonna,
Oh.
I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
was like, I'm surprised if Active Generations didn't have
Yeah.
a program like
Yeah, I
that.
saw workers on wheels, but it looked like they just went to medical appointments.
They've changed a bit this past,
Yeah.
since COVID, really. Might be worth calling though, because they may have someone else in mind that does, yeah.
Yeah, because that would be a huge help for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, I mean, I can do it, but it's, you know, one
And
more thing.
Right.
Yard work, not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like for somebody to come over and clean my windows.
Maybe
oh, for sure.
a really good neighbor.
Most of my neighbors are in the same boat.
I believe it.
So-
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, yeah, yeah. That's a great question, though. I mean, my first thought was,
I was thinking high school kids, but I don't,
Yeah.
you know. we
my
don't
first
have
thought
any in our
was
area.
scouts, you know,
Yeah,
looking for opportunities to serve.
Yeah,
So,
be a good Eagle Scout project.
yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
for sure. So I'll think about that. Actually, I'm gonna connect with Becca on that.
Yeah.
And I have some thoughts and maybe some questions for you on that too.
a good
Maybe some
idea.
collaboration with some organizations.
Always a good opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. And then do we have any questions online there?
And you guys, you can feel free to unmute as well. Looks like we have another chat though.
Okay.
Oh, just somebody needed to.
Oh, okay. So two things that I want to offer you as we end here. One is if you have anybody in your life that needs a care needs assessment, maybe you're looking for some in-home care, or if it's not in-home, a senior living placement, please let me know and we can set up a care needs assessment. I'm booking some for next week. And then the other thing is, if you would like to have if you have long-term care insurance, if you don't know if you have long-term care insurance, I'm giving you some homework right now. And that is look at your bills and see if there's something that you've been paying for a long time that you just haven't really thought about because it's insurance that you've been paying for, you know you need it sometime. Maybe you didn't even realize that it was long-term care insurance or forgot, right? So check that out. If you want me and my team, actually it won't be my team, it will be me. I will come to your house and I will do a review of your policy. If you would like that, please let me know or let me know in the chat and we will book a time for me to come over and do that with you. So that's it. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate all of you. And like I said, we have currently several caregivers that have openings and we're just looking to schedule them with anybody needing care right now. So they're amazing people. We have an amazing team.
Oh, somebody said Brandon, so someplace in Brandon had organized fall leaf raking support.
Oh,
That-
yeah.
Are you thinking of
Yeah.
the workers on wheels?
Yeah.
Rake the town.
Yeah,
what
I
that
know
is
about
called.
that.
Okay.
How do we get a hold of you?
Oh, that's a great question. Our website, which is probably the easiest, and Becca, if you don't mind typing it in there.
Yeah.
Our website is Amada. So it's like the word Amanda without the N. And it means beloved, by the way. Just throwing that in there. So Amada AmadaSiouxFalls.com is our website. If you would prefer phone number, I'll give you that as well. It's 605-223-0720. That's my direct line, or 1970 would be you might get my wife then. So same beginning digits, just 1970 at the end. And then if you're into email, it's Kevin.Gullickson, GULLICKSON at AmadaSeniorCare.com. So glad to, again, be a resource for all of you or any of you. appreciate you all. Thank you so much, especially those of you that are caring for others right now. I know that it's a tough work and a labor of love, and know it's so appreciated by those that you're giving care to. So thank you for what you do. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.